So you want to start reading in the new year? We got you, babe. Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome back to page 3. We're so excited for this episode.
Yeah, so as always, I'm Sydney,
I'm Ellie.
and today we kind of wanted to talk about one of our greatest loves in the world, which is the hobby and habit of reading. And if you, for the new year, set a resolution of wanting to read more, different genres, all sorts of different reading-related resolutions, we think we have you pretty covered for places to start. So we kind of just wanted to give you our tips for if you're getting into reading and just like our general reading journey guidance. And then also we each have 3 varying solutions for you for your book resolutions and New Year's goals.
And then also we have recommendations
Yes.
for you about different books at the end. And then like a little exciting thing that we're going to start doing at the end.
Yeah, we have a little surprise in store.
Super fun. So I want to start by saying that reading in the new year, I think it's a fantastic goal. I think picking up any hobby, Sid and I were literally just talking about it. She's picking up a new craft. I'm kind of inspired to do the same thing, which kind of is like the opposite of what we said to do in the last video. However, I think it's fun to kind of just like start something new, try something new, and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
So I think that reading's like always a great time, whether you're doing it in the new year, whether you've been doing it for forever and you want to get back into it, like it's epic. So let's obviously start with our 3 pieces of advice. Do you want to do the first one? And then I'll piggyback.
Yes. Also, if you see us like looking away, we wanted to write down and curate our pieces of advice to be very intentional. So we're kind of just looking at what our notes were. But 3 pieces of advice. The first one was do not compare your reading habits, quality or quantity of your journey. So kind of a general understanding of that is that reading is really subjective, and a good book to you does not have to be a good book to everybody. And so there's no need to look and see, oh, they're reading this thing and I didn't read that thing. Does that mean mine's not as good? Should I be reading this different type of thing? They read 20 books. Should I be reading more? The whole point of it is to be a really fun journey with yourself and to find things that you relate to and you enjoy. And that's like part of, no matter where you are in your reading journey, that's part of it, is finding new genres, finding new things you like, connecting with different characters. So number 1 piece of advice is do not compare your journey and also the quality of the literature you're consuming.
I completely agree with that. I actually think that the second that, and we'll get into this later in the video too, but I think one of the things that damaged my relationship with reading the most was when it became like something that had to be like outwardly proven. And I think that book talk, though it's done so many amazing things for the literary community, I think it's damaged a lot of things in the literary community, and just made reading less enjoyable, I suppose, or not less enjoyable, but whatever. It's more of like a race than it is like a like a process, I guess. To kind of like reiterate it in a new way. This is like the first video you're seeing. I'm in grad school to be a writer, and I'm in doing creative writing. I'm doing my master's program, and a professor of mine once told me like advice about writer's block is to lower your standards and keep going. Like if you ever have like writer's block, like lower your standards and keep going. One of the things that I kind of did to help myself in getting back into reading is to not think that like if I didn't want to read the 500-page novel that was everybody talked about, it's like life-changing because it just didn't speak to me, then I just wouldn't. And I would lower my standards for myself. And lower my standards because I just don't think that the standards we have as readers is, I don't know, always healthy, maybe? So I also think that Sid and I talked about, because I was writing a couple of days ago and Sid was on the phone with me and I was writing my thesis, and she kind of said to me, she was like, I was talking about like how there are days where I'm like, oh, writing is the only thing I'm supposed to do in life. And then there are days where I'm like, who the fuck gave me the pen and gave me the permission to write? Like I suck at this so bad. And she told me that like the books that we loved and the books that changed our lives were not necessarily the books that people would consider to be like what somebody considers good is so subjective and so it's so malleable.
Yeah.
And so I guess that kind of helped me with the idea of like Sid and I have read like some of the craziest, shittiest books, but they spoke to us in this like really unique and incredible way. And it wouldn't be like a book that you would necessarily be like, this is like a Pulitzer Prize winning novel.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was going to go, actually, is because part of why I said that to Ellie is I was trying to explain to her, like, you're going to find the audience that this speaks to. So it's like, whether you're good at grammar or not is like less important than if you show don't tell and like have a voice and like are really speaking through your characters. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. And like, we read some books, and like, this is where the comparison thing comes in, that if you saw the covers of, you would be like, who is writing this, and then who is reading this? And at
Us.
first, like, yeah, us. But I downloaded Goodreads at some point in high school, and I like was adding all of my books to my shelf, and then I was low-key embarrassed to add those because I was like, oh my god, people are gonna think I'm like a bad reader for not consuming what is deemed like high literary things. Like, oh, I'm not reading like this really incredible autobiography, so like I must be a bad reader because I'm consuming like fake literature is what it seemed like. And then I was like, wait, but I cried when I finished that book. Like, I talk about those characters today.
And those characters still exist. We have the characters, Syd, that we still feel like are our best fucking friends, that we feel like are still exist to this day because they were written in such a powerful way. And it's so incredible. And I also think that that's something that I had to do. Like, even when I was writing my recommendations of like the 3 books that I'm going to give like near the end of the video, I even had to stop myself and I was like, okay, like let me give Beloved by Toni Morrison, or like The Bluest Eye, or let me give like Bonnie's Room by James Baldwin, these like beautiful, amazing classics that are so great. And I was like, that's just not who I am. I love those books and I think they're incredible, but I love them for a very different reason. If I'm reading to be a reader, I'm searching for something very different than what I would be searching for as a writer. And I think sometimes I want to put on the hat, and I get really in my head about it too, especially being in grad school, of being like, okay, well, I think I'm supposed to be reading these books that everyone talks about. I think I'm supposed to be in the know about all these things. And then it's like, I didn't even know who Tommy Orange was. Everybody talks about him. And I didn't know all these people when I went to grad school, and I felt so invalidated. But like, if the book speaks to you, is that not the act of the craft? Like,
And I think like truly the bottom line of like this piece of advice, like the most important thing is like what you consume is up to you, because reading is supposed to be something you enjoy. So like, in comparison truly is the thief of joy. Like, you're gonna stop feeling joy about reading if you're reading to enjoy what others are enjoying instead of enjoy what you are enjoying. So my bottom line, I stopped saying I'm gonna wrap a bow on this because me and Ellie can't stop laughing that I just say that in every video.
bow, and I love a bow to be wrapped.
Yeah. So I'm going to tie a bow on this one piece of advice, that if somebody is reading the most life-changing autobiography and you want to read a hockey romance, that's okay. It is just as valuable. And if those characters speak to you, please read a hockey romance. That's okay. That's where, if you want to read about fairies, read about fairies.
Like,
do your thing.
Seriously, read about fucking fairies. That's exactly. All right, number 2. Our number 2 piece of advice is, wait, I can't even remember what it is. What is it? Okay, well, it kind of goes in line. So I would say we kept it in line here. Our second piece of advice is to read what speaks to you and not what social media tells you to, which is actually perfect because I wanted to say this all kind of bleed together, I would say. But in line with the whole don't compare yourself, social media has been great for the book world and the book community for a lot of reasons. I've gotten some really great book recommendations over the course of my time on Book Talk and on book social media pages, and I've really gotten some great recommendations. But it also, at no fault of anybody, has really damaged my relationship with reading because I'm consistently trying to keep up with what social media is telling me I need to read, and I need to read it now, and I need to read it now. And this demanding process, this difference of, it's no longer as a solitary experience that I get to experience on my own, but instead it's like a whole community of people that are experiencing with me, which is awesome. But it also kind of damages the relationship with reading like a little bit. And so I would say one of the things that like I have had to do is I don't even look on Book Talk anymore. Like, I don't even want to see what's happening over there because I will just psych myself out, and then I'll be like, a book doesn't really speak to me, or not sorry, some of the books are really fucking bad. Like, and I've read bad books. I have read bad books, and
a lot of them just have gained so much traction that the hype around them is this mindset that you need to be included in the fact that everybody's reading them. So everybody gasses it up so much. This is the most life-changing book I've ever read. I love it so much. I recently read a book, like Ellie, I've gotten some really great recommendations, but there are certain genres that I just know that are not mine. They're just not for me. And I read this book because everybody said, if you're not into this genre, this is the one to read, and you have to read it now because it's the holiday season and this, that, and the other thing. I hated it. 2 stars, and everybody else loved it. And that is like no shade to them. But if I would have walked in a bookstore, like I strongly encourage you to either on Kindle, on Goodreads, in a bookstore, at Barnes and Noble, like whatever your format of reading, the library, whatever it is, I strongly encourage you to go in with a blank slate and just pick up what speaks to you. Whether you're judging a book by a cover or not my business.
Yeah.
Pick it up and find what speaks to you. Do not go in there being like, I saw this book on TikTok. And maybe if you do that and it works out for you, fine. But
Amazing.
the part of being a reader is finding your taste and what you love. And then you'll be more consistent with it because you love it so much. Like I read a whole book yesterday because I was in a slump about fantasy and I hadn't read fantasy in a while. And this one book that I picked up, read it in one day. Not a book that's flying off the TikTok shelves these days, okay? Like it's really not. But you just have to form your own taste and do that experience on your own. And like, if you want to be influenced by other people, that's like, I'm not judging you, but I just think part of being a reader is the journey of figuring out yourself.
Completely. And half the fun of a book is finding it on your own and then it being a good book and you being like, I was right. And being able to pick a book up and be like, and be from it from the start of finding it in the bookstore, bringing it home with you, reading it, finding it on Kindle, like purchasing it, and it just being the thing that just brings you in. It's so great. And I know that a lot of people on Book Talk, maybe they didn't have a relationship with reading. Maybe they didn't know that these romance novels were out there with all these tropes that everybody wants to experience, or they didn't know that these cool books experienced and happened. And now they do. And it's such an exciting and thrilling experience. And I love that. I'm so happy that people have found that they can read books that genuinely speak to them. I just think that there's been a certain little turn. And I saw somebody on my YouTube shorts the other day, because if you know me, you know that I love my YouTube shorts. It's like
the only person in the world that loves YouTube shorts.
I used to on TikTok and then I was like, a story I'll get into another time. But
yeah.
So I was on my YouTube shorts and some girl was like, Book Talk is less about like giving you book recommendations and more about overselling. And like they'll oversell these books. And I think it's so true. Like they're just trying to sell you like a product at that point, but books are not products. They are an experience and you cannot really sell that. So like,
yeah, and also like if at a certain point you've read a bunch of books that you've picked on your own and they're just not speaking to you, I'm totally pro take a tip. Like totally pro that. Like I personally was so deeply against reading. I saw ACOTAR and Fourth Wing like all over social media, and for that exact reason rebelled against reading them because I was like, I'm not reading this. And then I read probably 10 books and I was like, nothing's really getting me these days. Like I'm really not enjoying this anymore. And multiple people were like, pick up this book. I know you see it everywhere, but do it. Like everything has a caveat. There's a caveat to every rule. But the more like underlining thing here is part of being a reader is formulating that experience on your own and like truly experiencing the book. And this will lead into our next point, which is like, you don't want to have so many preconceived notions about a book before you experience it, because that's your journey to experience. Like you get to read these pages for the first time and meet these characters for the first time and like really feel deeply about them. So you might as well curate that to your own liking, which gets us to our next point.
Number 3.
Which, number 3, very important number in our lives. We really like to talk about the number 3.
Number 3.
Get the fuck off Goodreads.
Please.
And I am the most pro Goodreads person ever. Get the fuck off Goodreads.
Leave it in the past. She was once a safe space for us literary nerds. She was once a safe space for us bookish people. She is no longer. It used to be this super safe space for us literary people, us bookish people. It used to be the most amazing thing ever. And then it just kind of flipped on its head. I don't really know what happened exactly, but it's just not anymore.
No, I completely agree. I also think Goodreads is very oversaturated, and you have to remember, like, and I didn't know this until Ellie told me a lot about this, because I'm not on the back end of the literary world the way that Ellie is, but people get advanced copies of books. Like, authors will release advanced copies to books, like, anywhere between 50 of them to 1,000 of them. And then you look on these reviews, and when the book immediately comes out, like 5 minutes after it comes out, there's numerous reviews, and it just like really oversaturates it, waters it down. And the average, when you look on a book and it says 3 stars, like there are some books that I've looked on Goodreads and I've been like, 2 stars, are you kidding me? And if I would have looked before, I probably wouldn't have read it, because I would have read the top review, would have been horrible, and it would have ruined it for me. But also, like, even if you have a non-spoiler review on Goodreads or on this doesn't even just go for Goodreads, but like if you have a non-spoiler review, Goodreads, TikTok, like whatever, this entire concept is for all that. Even then, you are dropping little pieces of the story. Like Ellie just told me before this episode to stop talking to her about a book that I've read that she's reading. And it goes for this exact same reason. Because when I read these reviews before I pick up a book and it says, oh, but this MMC and this character and this thing, like I'm recalling these little pieces of information and it puts a weird taste in your mouth, good or bad, whether it's a really, really overhyped review or a really underhyped review. You have this taste in your mouth about the book. And then because we are human, subconsciously, you can't really formulate your own opinion anymore. And
Totally.
you shouldn't psych yourself out about stars on Goodreads or like if you're, this goes back to the original comparison component of it, because if a book that I loved that changed my life was 2 stars, but some Pulitzer Prize winner is 5 stars and I thought it sucked, like, that's not fair.
No, it's not fair. Well, this goes into my analogy. So
Yeah, girl.
I said last night to Sid that reading a book is like you're entering like a treasure hunt. And except the treasure hunt, you have no idea what the treasures are. You just know that it starts at X and it ends at Z. And it's like Goodreads is the equivalent of someone being like, in 10 steps from now, you're going to find like the biggest fucking pot of gold. And it being like, okay, well, that's great. Like, thank you. I mean, now I know that this journey is worth it. But then at the same time, it's like, well, then that takes a half the way fun away for me if I get to now, like, I don't get to discover this on my own. This doesn't get to be like my own personal thing, which goes into my thing about reading being such a solitary experience. And it's such a solitary experience. It's such an important aspect of like, it's not, and I love book communities and I think they're great. I just think that when they come in too early into your reading experience, really detonates what you read and it really changes what you read and how you interact with it. And I think that this goes a lot to say also with the arcs and with the pre-coffees and all these things. Like there are books that are released, right? And and the publishing companies, I'll give them credit. They know what they're doing. They'll give access to people and it almost becomes like a scarcity product, right? It's like a luxury product that only certain people can get their hands on. And you want to read it, you want to read it now. And you want to read it exactly when you get it. And you want to have a super exciting experience because that is like, because it's been built up to be made into a book that I don't know how to, it's like this, I don't know, this scarcity mindset of like, or this like FOMO almost of like, I need to experience. It's like this,
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from. And then because of that, people are reading it so fast and then they're like, they want to be the first thing to say somebody and then with the first thing to experience it. But reading's not life. True reading, good reading, the best reading is like when everybody just shuts the fuck up for a second and you're just zoned in on that one. So that are the best stories because everyone in the world, I can't fucking hear them because I'm so in a story and nobody else that is alive or present with me can be heard. It is just you and those fictional characters, you and whatever characters belong in the story. And I'm talking about fiction in this circumstance. Maybe it's a different experience. I don't know about nonfiction, but it's just you and these characters and it fucking rocks. And I don't want to hear what Jennifer down the fucking road has to say about my fucking book. I don't, because I want to experience it for myself. I want it to be mine. This is my perfect little protected bubble. Fuck off and leave me alone. And I really have like, I think that's why my relationship with reading has been so damaged because I keep hearing all these opinions that I don't give a fuck about. I don't care what you thought about my fucking favorite book. That's why I will never, ever, ever tell the world my favorite book because it's mine. I don't need you to validate it or not validate it. I don't want you to relate to me or not relate to me. It is mine. Maybe that's selfish. Maybe that's gatekeeping. I don't give a fuck.
And also I want to like completely agree with you. Like there's a weird gray area with book communities where I am so grateful that we get to come on here on the internet and talk about books. And I am so grateful that other people feel so passionately that they want to come on the internet and talk about books because the resurgence of reading has been unbelievable, like seriously unbelievable. And for that, I'm so grateful that because reading became trendy, it's circulating so much. And maybe these are all people that experienced it in private and then brought it to the world. I don't know. But for that, I'm so grateful. My gray area kind of falls in that there is the overproduction and overconsumption side of it, where when these book talkers, authors, whatever it may be, are giving you access to millions of reviews like this. It is so, as a human being, I succumb to this frequently. It is so hard to then dilute what your own opinion is versus what you've heard. It just really is. And that's how trends work, right? Like if I for example, if you think stripes are ugly, but then stripes start trending, like maybe you'll start liking stripes, you know? So it's really hard. Like it is truly kind of a peer pressure-y environment right now. But my other gray area is that book communities, book clubs, whatever it is. Like I started really, really reading because I had an accountability partner, which was Ellie, but I also started reading with my mom because she had me join a book club. Okay, so we just had major technical difficulties, but I'm just going to finish my thought for this third and final piece of advice. And that is that book clubs are really incredible things, and book communities are really incredible things, and accountability partners are really incredible things because if you don't know where to start walking into a bookstore or downloading the Kindle app, whatever your access is, might be incredibly overwhelming because there is a million things to choose from and you don't know where you're going. So it is really nice. Like the benefit of these things, the caveat to our point is that there are a lot of amazing ways to start reading or to find new things, and taking recommendations is how books keep selling and authors stay alive and things like that. And so I don't want to discredit how important it is to feel like you're part of a reading community, even if it's a solitary activity. The main point just being, just watch where the line is when you're making your own opinions and try to really experiencing it for yourself, because that is what the most beautiful part about it is.
And I guess like one of the things that I've always felt is like there's so many things about social media that are so daunting and so overwhelming, and so many areas that it affects, right? And like I guess I've always felt like I'm just one person. We're just two people. We can't change every single aspect, every single corner of social media. I can't change everything about the world, right? But I can choose one really, really small area and really try to make the impacts there, and do all the good things that I know how to do. And I guess that's kind of like what I'm hopeful for, is that I hope that like Syd and I can kind of move forward, and like books are a huge part of us, but they're just going to bring in like an aspect of our podcast. But I think that we just like, I guess I just want to carve out like a little place where people can just feel like, okay, like it doesn't need to be like such a stressful thing. Like it doesn't, you don't need to read these books and you don't need to read them now. It's not like you're going to be missing out on anything. You're not going to have FOMO. It's not going to be a crazy thing. Reading is supposed to be so enjoyable. And I think when you take the weight off of it, and I'm still learning how to do this myself, I still hear, and I still have such a block with reading because of book talk and all of the opinions and all of this like onslaught of like opinions that I have. It just doesn't feel like my own anymore. And I'm still trying to work through that. So as I do, I'll obviously try to give insight of how I'm working through that, but it's hard. And so just, I guess our attempt is just to like help you just kind of block out the noise and just make it like your own, and then find your own path in it. I'm still learning how to do that too.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. And as we segue to our recommendations, we have made it, and you will see very clear that when we give you these recommendations for these resolutions, we're not going to tell you anything about the book. We will give you the one bullet point bare bones that you need to know as to why we're recommending it for this resolution, but you will not hear about the story, because this shouldn't be a pressure situation. So either take our recommendations or don't, and we will not be offended nor give a fuck. And we hope you enjoy or don't enjoy, like whatever you want. But you will see that the continuing theme in this space in page 3 for books is that if you want to take our recommendations or listen to what we have to say about books for however many episodes it gets talked about, go for it. If you don't, the entire episode will never be dedicated to us just forcing you to feel compelled to do this. Like, these are our 3 minutes at the end of every episode of or at the end of this episode for our 2 cents, and take it or don't. It's not that deep.
Because reading should always be like chill, enjoyable. Like, well, okay, obviously, like reading is not always chill. Like, if you've read like a high-speed fantasy novel, you know that shit's like fucking.
If you're at ACOTAR, you probably had a heart attack medically.
Oh my God, multiple times too. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to be so, you do it for the fun of it. You do it because it teaches you something. You do it because it makes you feel seen and heard and loved. And you do it because whatever. And so
sorry, drop
you're about to find out. Oh, you're fine. You're about to find out how different of readers Syd and I are. I think that based off of her recommendations, this is me making my own judgments that I need to fix. You would think she's the one that's in grad school, and you would think I'm the one that's not.
Also, I will say that I would say that about a little over 50% of me and Ellie's tastes overlapped a lot, because my love for reading rather than habit of reading, my love for reading was really formed by Ellie. So a lot of us overlap because she introduced me to what she calls the dark side, which is basically anything other than what I recommend to you today. And so anyway, we overlap it a lot, but recently I've been on a weird kick. So currently we're kind of not in alignment.
We'll get
Take
back.
that with a grain of salt. Two different perspectives over here.
Yeah, which is good because maybe you can find relations somewhere between us.
Yeah. Or maybe you don't, and you just like to listen to us talk. Fine by me.
That's fine by me. As long as you're here, we're happy.
I go 1, 1, 1, 1. I give 1, you give 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to go?
You go first.
Okay. The first resolution I want to talk about is for those who just want to start reading, period. You don't know what you're going to read. You just want to do it. Broken Country. It's got multiple genres all wrapped in one. If you don't know what you want, you have your pick of like 10. Okay.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, girl.
All right. This one is for those who want a heart-racing, stupid fucking romance. You want some crack cocaine in the form of words, and you want some toxicity mixed in there. I have 3, but I'm going to spitball, and I'm just going to do 1. And I'm going to hope to God that this lands in the right hands. But I'm going to do the book that built me and the book that, like, really taught me good fucking reading. And it's called Paper Princess by Erin Watt.
Yes! 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 I wanted you to talk about this.
Is it good? I don't know. Wait, I'm not supposed to say anything. Let me do say this, though. I was 16 when I read it, and I don't know if I would read it when I was 23. Because I don't know how I feel about reading about teenagers, if that gives you some insight. However, she's there for you. Okay.
One more thing I want to say about this is that this, I think, for any placement you're at in your reading journey is a great choice because it has so many different genres that if you're in a rut or you need to switch things up, this is like a really good option. Or if you just don't know where to start, good option for the same reason. It just has a little bit of everything and it won't make you feel super bogged down, I think, by picking a genre in a bookstore. My second is for those who want to switch up their genres this year. Me personally, I got in a really big slump with romance and fantasy because I basically binged them like to the utmost extreme, like as in 20 in a couple of months. And so switched it up. I actually got assigned to this for school. James, this historical fiction, nothing more to be said other than I understand the award. And this is like, I know this is kind of against our rule, but I do feel like I have to say this because it's kind of like a trigger warning situation, is that this is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn. And so it is set in a time of slavery. And so it does have sensitive content. So just like, don't go into that blind. But if you want to switch up your genre and you want to dip your toe into historical fiction or something considered more educational, I think this is a great place to start.
I also think that I haven't read James yet, but I really want to. And I think that there are books that genuinely deserve the awards. And then there are books that don't. And I would say that it's great when it does hit the mark and it sucks when it doesn't.
Yeah, and also, or maybe they do deserve it and I'm just not at the intellectual level of those judges. Maybe I'm just not my award.
For me. Maybe it's not for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So this book built me. This book is in my veins. If you ripped my skin open and you looked at the lining, the words of this novel would be baked inside of me. And again, I guess there's something kind of
you say things like that, and that's how I know you're a writer.
I guess there's something a little bit vulnerable about me sharing all these books. I'm waiting for people to be like, read them and then kind of clap back at me. And like piggybacking to something that Syd and I talked about last night that she told me is like, don't assume that you know what is in the pages of the book that somebody else is reading. Like if you read the same book, but the pages that you read and the pages that you're reading off of could be very different, and what they're garnering from them could be vastly different. And so I would like you to understand that the first 2 books that I'm reading, or all 3 of them, were in a time of my life where these were some of the only things to keep me going. And so maybe you are that person too and you need them, and I'm happy to give them to you. But if you aren't, once again, don't be fucking mean. Okay?
Yeah.
So
all of these are generally just to like give you a little tumbler pot to pull from. What you do with them when they're in your hands is, for the exact purpose of this video, none of our fucking business.
Literally. Whatever you do, that's so much fun, girl. Okay.
That's what we were saying.
The book is Sea of Tranquility by Katia Malay. Let me tell you, this, if you just the book is for those who want to travel back to high school and also want a fantastic novel. This novel, are you crying?
I don't know, I might. It's like the only teenage book I would read as an adult.
I literally would reread that. Oh my God, this book. I don't know if it would I don't know. I haven't read any of these books since this is, like, a time in my life, but these are books that, like, genuinely shaped me, and, like, I don't know if I don't think I could go back and read them because they represented something so strict and, like, such a finite time in my life. I don't know if I could reread them, but for what they were when I needed them, and maybe I'm hopeful that they will find the person that needs them again. Damn, these motherfuckers are good.
I have nothing else to say. If it's clear, you can see where me and Ellie do overlap. We did, when we were talking about these books the other night, did go down the spiral of reading all of our old notes app lists of books that we recommended and read in high school. And it was an emotional journey.
Such an emotion. Like, maybe one day we'll, like, reveal all of the books that we read, like, what we've both read together and, like, all of our opinions of them because those are fucking insane. Like, they just belong in one very, very finite category that we'll figure out how to title one day, but they're so good regardless.
Yeah.
3rd book.
Okay, my last quote unquote recommendation is this is what I'm calling it, and I'll explain it again. It's for those who want to read about real people. Because I understand that fiction, fantasy, whatever variation of fiction can seem a little daunting sometimes. Or maybe you're just not, like, maybe you just wake up one day and you're sucked out of the story and it seems fake. I don't know. Whatever your prerogative it is to read this next book, so be it. Dinner for Vampires, it's a memoir, so real people, obvi. Bethany Joy Lenz, for those of you who don't know, is one of the main characters on One Tree Hill. And so the only information I will give you is what is written right here. And it says, life on a cult TV show while also in an actual cult. So, Dinner for Vampires, Miss Bethany Joy Lenz here, cult TV show, cult in real life. Also, she spoke about this book on Call Her Daddy, and that was very interesting. So yeah, if you want to read about real people, sometimes I think memoirs and autobiographies and biographies, if you're not passionate about the person already, like if you don't already have an affinity for that person or know what they're famous for or know why they're well known, it kind of is not enjoyable to go look for them or read them because you just don't necessarily care about that person. So I think this memoir, as well as any other celebrity memoir of like somebody super, super popular, like the Jessica.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah. I'm grateful my mom is dead, or that, like something
Yeah.
like that, or the Madison Beer one, whatever speaks to you. This is my recommendation. However, I think a celebrity memoir or somebody more pop culture, if you're trying to read about real people, is a better place to start because the realisticness that you will have a relation to them parasocially is higher. So
They're also great audiobooks. I've read a lot of
great audiobooks.
books that you can like read if you have like a long commute. I have a long commute to school, and like that really is like a great way to kind of dip your toe into like memoirs. And I think that they're like you
Yeah.
learn something while you're also entertained. Like it's kind of like yeah.
Narration of a memoir feels like listening to it in an audiobook feels very much like listening to a podcast because it really is like being told the story of somebody's real life.
Yeah.
So that's also a great recommendation if you're trying to switch things up is in general audiobooks. But if you want to read memoirs or something more nonfiction, I think audiobooks makes it more attainable because it's podcast adjacent.
Sorry, he's making bread on my neck right now. Oh, okay. So my last one, I kind of want to change my last one, but should I? I want to.
You're just more concerned with how uncomfortable you are.
No, I'm so comfy. He just like every time he like curls his paw, it's just kind of like
Just stabbing you a little.
just a little, but it's okay. It's worth the pain. So, okay, why don't I say for those who want to get into like
Ellie, you wouldn't be you without this last one.
I know I wouldn't, but I wouldn't. You know what? Fuck it. Okay, fine. For those who want a good ass fucking mafia romance, you never read a mafia romance. Sid's never read a mafia romance, and that's like probably one of my. If I had one New Year's resolution, it would be to get Sydney to read a fucking mafia romance. Stay tuned. If you want a good fucking mafia romance, you don't know what a mafia romance is. You don't know what that entails. I've informed my entire cohort of what it is. It's a romance centered around the mafia, world shattering, and I love this for many reasons, but one of the top ones would definitely be because it's just so like outlandish and insane, but also incredible. The one I would recommend you is Sinners Anonymous. But I don't really know who. And so yeah.
Okay, the other one thing I just want to stay after our recommendations one more time is that our opinions are completely and utterly one way or another, probably contradicting to ourselves, probably invalid to most of the world, and probably irrelevant. So whether we said that we weren't going to give you any information about the books and totally did or not, our 3 pieces of advice still stand. We just feel very passionately, hence why we saved it for the end of the episode so that you wouldn't have to deal with this the entire time. But yeah,
Additionally, can I recommend one more book?
go for it, girl.
If you want to just have an extra book and just see what Sid and I were up to in high school, read The Moth and the Flame. Read The Moth and the Flame by B.B. Reed. And it's great because it's just great for many reasons, but it's great for one really great reason. Okay, so
Also, one more thing is that if you do read those, that will next episode, like just any future episode from here on out, I think you will derive a lot of us and understand our love for books and specifically the books we choose because of anything Ellie recommended and Pierre the Puppet Moth in the Flame.
so good. Okay, so now that gets into our last section, our little surprise section at the end, which we're very excited about. So if you're dipping your toe and you want some accountability, you want someone to join you on the way, you want somebody to tell you what to read, though it's kind of counterproductive to what we just told you, but if you want somebody in a non-stressful, non-threatening way, we decided to do a book of the month for the podcast.
Yay!
Super chill. We're going to talk about it for like the last 5 minutes of every podcast episode. So you can listen, you can not listen, whatever. Obviously, we want everyone to feel included. And yeah, so you can follow along. We're going to read it in snippets. So we're going to read every book across the month and we'll talk about like parts of the book like each week. So the first book we're reading, which is one that Sid picked out, is I Who Have Never Known Men.
It's by Jacqueline Hartman. It's an older book that was re-released recently. It's been around for a while, and we thought it would be a good place to start because it's not the longest book ever. So, given that this episode will be out the first week of January on the 7th, that gives us a couple more weeks, 3 more weeks to read Book of the Month. And that doesn't mean you have to read it just in January, but if you want the accountability partner or you just want to read in chunks with us, we are gonna, I don't want to say assign. So me and Ellie are also included in this, are going to be reading a certain number of pages that we think is digestible and chewable for each week. And we'll tell you that. Ellie will kind of explain more. And then, like she said, we're just going to talk about at the end of the episode. It's not going to be a whole thing. So for those who join along, feel free to watch the last 5 minutes of every episode. And if you didn't join along, we hope you'll still enjoy us anyway.
It'd probably be longer than 5 minutes if we're being real.
Yeah.
But also, so for this book, I split it up by 60-page increments, and then the last section will be a little bit longer. So we're going to talk about the first 60 pages of the novel. I don't know what chapter that leads up to, but that's what we looked at. And then maybe next week, once I have an idea of the book, I haven't even started reading it yet because I really want to commit to like reading it in chunks. We'll just read the first 60 pages if you want to read with us and you want to join along. We're so happy that you are. If not, no worries. We'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah. And also, for clarity purposes, we based the pages for this one off of the paperback, which the paperback is 175 pages. So if you choose to read this digitally or any other ways, it's divided into 3 sections. So whatever your platform is, like just read the first third of the book and you'll be caught up. But yeah, we based it off of the paperback. We're very, very excited. I also, in the spirit of this episode and all of our opinions and things, we have agreed to not look at any reviews prior to reading any of this, like not even anything. So I bought this book without actually reading reviews. It was just on the front table in Barnes & Noble. And we're not going to look on TikTok. We're not going to read Goodreads. That is the part I more importantly hope you participate in if you choose to, because I think it'll be really interesting when we discuss to just kind of see where we fall on the scale and we can look at them later on. So
yeah. And look at the Goodreads reviews like at the end of the month all together. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. We love you. We'll see you in the next chapter. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we love you.
If you're going to start reading, you should. You're going to love it. It's going to be amazing. And we're with you for everything. Always.
Yeah. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Say bye. Bye.